See, anyone who gives a gift to someone who is under a spell or under a curse, the person eventually attracts the curse. In one of my videos which I posted concerning curses, and one of my audience and viewers watched the video and came out with a question and said, "Sir, myself and my siblings, we have observed that anytime when we give something to our father, either based on request or we give to him willingly, things begin to become difficult for us. For example, our finances begin to go rough and we begin to experience some hardship. This is an observation they have made anytime when they give to their father, whether by request or by willingness of the heart. This is an observation. So she wants to know, is the father under a curse? And that even if the father is under a curse, what must she do or what must they do in order to break out of it? Is it that they should stop giving to the father or they should continue giving to the father? If they should continue giving to the father, is there any remedy to curtailing that menace? And I said yes. It could be that the father is under a spell, or it could be that a spirit from nowhere is working against the father, which they know nothing about. So it is not certain that what they are experiencing or the observation about their father is completely a spell. So let's take a look from this. When you give to someone and then it turns out to be your giving should, in a way, you giving to the person should open doors for you, because it is said the more you give, the more you receive. All right. So this is not only a biblical principle, but it is a spiritual law. See, in the realms of the spirit, the life of the spirit does not depend on the abundance of the things that spirit possesses. You should understand that. That is from the realms of the spirit. So, in the realms of the spirit, it is also a law that the more you give, the more you receive. So, that is the principle. And as a matter of fact, we all know that before a seed could bear fruit, it must die. No seed has ever germinated without dying. So before the seed could bring out what was within it, it had to first of all give out what it had by dying. And so the death of the seed is the birth of the fruit. So the principle of germination and also the principle of gold refinery confirm that the more we give, the more we receive. A gold is just like a mere rock. Sometimes it's even in a dust form. So when you have a gold dust, it is a kind of dust that has properties and characteristics of gold. But for you to sell that gold dust, you may not get the right money or amount for the value of the gold you are issuing out. See, the gold is more valuable and priceless when it has gone through the refinery, when it has given itself to be killed, so that so that the dirt in it will be sieved off. Have you seen it? So you see, everything becoming the best version of itself, first of all, give out something. A man becomes better when the man has gone through the turmoils of life, the turbulence of life. That is why we have great men who never had it easy, but They have broken certain limitations, they have broken certain laws, and now they have made it. When they were going through those difficult moments of their lives, they never believed that a time was going to come when they were going to receive everything they lacked. So let us notice something. You become better when you give out. Anyone who is afraid to die is automatically afraid to become the best version of him or herself, sometimes knowingly or unknowingly. Knowingly or unknowingly, in the sense that you love yourself so much that you don't want to go through some pain to become what you want to be. Okay, so you not wanting to go through the pain because you love yourself, that is actually not loving yourself, that is actually hating yourself. You not wanting to go through the pain in order to become what you have visioned to become is a sign that you are willingly not ready to become the better version of yourself. So some people, they do that willingly and they do that unwillingly. That, in other words, knowingly and unknowingly. Okay, so I can't wake up and stay all night reading my books in order to become the best version of myself in the next 2, 3, or 5, 10 years. Isn't it? So your inability to sacrifice your sleep in order to have that degree to become a better version of yourself, or in order to undergo that exercise, in order to polish the skill that you have or the gift that you have, your inability to go through that pain, whether knowingly or unknowingly, is a sign that you are not giving out something. You are not giving out something. So nothing goes for free. I have not deviated from my topic. I am still within the context of my topic. So you are still looking at that, the giving. But what you and I need to understand is that nothing goes for free and you don't receive anything. There is no man on earth, no woman on earth who has ever received something without, first of all, giving out something. But you can say that, but I didn't give anything, but I didn't. Practically speaking, when you check everything that you have received, there is something you did as a price you paid before you have received what you have. So anyone who doesn't want to give out cannot receive more. As a matter of fact, when you check a list of those who are wealthy, when I say wealthy, I'm not talking about those who are rich. Worldliness goes about riches. Those who, let me say, okay, both. Those who are rich and both, and then wealthy as well. So when you take a look at that list, you get to know that these are people who are always giving. Look at their various foundations they have, charity foundations that they have, charity organizations they have, helping out. So they are all always giving. So if you are talking about giving, everybody gives sometimes without knowing and sometimes also knowing. So we all give. But the question here is that where we are giving to, who we are giving to is the question. So for them, when they give to their father, they begin to experience hardship. So I went on to interrogate because I needed more information. So I went on to interrogate her and I was like, okay, tell me a little about your father. And she said, when the father was growing up, the little she witnessed about her father was that her father was doing well in financially. As a matter of fact, doing well, not necessarily rich, but was capable of at least providing for the family and all that, taking care of the family. But then there was one thing that she also observed, that the father was also helping the extended family. The extended family as in his siblings' children. His as in the father, their children. And so few years of helping the other members of the family, her father's business began to collapse. That was where the problem started. And again, she also mentioned that there is another young man in the family who also started, caring for the needs of other family, other members of the family. Okay, and this young man eventually also collapsed. So she confirmed to me that financially, in the father's lineage, they don't really do well. You cannot talk of one person who has amassed wealth. Okay, so that was what she told me. Then I also had to take my time and analyze the case carefully so that at the end of the day, we are getting the right information. We don't want to contradict ourselves. What was and what is the true cause of her father's predicament? That is the next question. Is it that the father is under a curse, or the father is being manipulated by another spirit, be it witchcraft, be it marine spirit? Is it something like that? As even to be frank with you, every case has spiritual agents that have been assigned to enforce the manifestation of the curse. That is what you need to know. But seeking deliverance from a curse is, is different from getting deliverance from when it is not a spell or a curse, but a mere spiritual operations against the father. So we needed to know the actual cause. If it happens that it is not only the father who suffered the collapsing of the business or the collapse of the business, but rather the there is another young man, and you cannot point at anyone who is doing well financially in the family. That means that it could be a spell. I'm saying that it could be because before we can affirm, or before we can be 100% sure of the cause, we need to do what is called spiritual checkup. Spiritual checkup is when we take the situation and we diagnose it. Then we find out what is the causative organism over there in every um, all the predicament the father is going through. We needed to do that, but then I haven't done that yet. So I wanted to give this lady in question some simple understanding of the whole thing. So number one, it could be that it is a spell that is against almost all the family members. And then she was like, okay, for me, I don't inherit from my father, but I inherit from my mother. And I told her that, look, this has nothing to do with that tradition and that belief that for me, we inherit the mother's side and we don't inherit the father's side. It has nothing to do with that. No. This has everything to do with the blood that flows within you. So if it is a spell, the spell is going to work tracing the next person from the blood. So before her father came, still there was no prominent person in the family. Let's not forget that. Well, as it stands now, they cannot boast of even a single prominent person in the family. That is what we all need to agree. That means that before the father, there was no prominent person. It means that just as the father was thriving in business, doing well in business, and all of a sudden crashed along the way, the same way their progenitors, when I say their progenitors, those who came before her father, I can also say that there were some of them who also made the attempt to break out, and yet they couldn't. Because here lies the case: the father tried breaking out, and something eventually stopped him. Okay, so the same way that we can also say that just as there is another young man in the family who also tried and eventually was crushed. So if people from the same family are making the attempt, and as they are making the attempt, there is something stronger than their attempt they are making. There is something stronger than what they know. that is able to stop them from breaking out or achieving what they desired to achieve. So once there is something like that, then it could be that number one, it could be that it is a covenant with a deity. Our forefathers gone in the days had covenant with some spirit and certain deities. And then because they had this covenant with certain deities, they in a family that I know, the covenant, these were the terms of the covenant. That is, the family went to seek the help of the spirit in the marine kingdom, saying that we are able to reproduce, but we don't have money. And so, if there is a way by which the spirit could help them become rich or have money, and then in exchange for money, they had to give out the ability to reproduce. And so, in that family, as it stands now, almost every member in that family is very rich, but most of them cannot reproduce. They can't reproduce. Reproduction has become something very difficult. They can't have the fruit of the womb. They can't have children. That's what I mean. They can't have children. So there are very few in the family. So those members of the family are even afraid that their lineage might end because of it. See, all this is geared towards what happened, the terms of the covenant. So when it is a covenant, it is a different ball game. So it could be that the cause of their predicament is a covenant between the spirit and then the family, which there are certain things the members of the family will have to do for that spirit, which nowadays we have accepted Christ, and because we have accepted Christ, we see fulfilling of our promises in the terms and conditions of covenant that our forefathers had. We see those things to be evil, and so now everybody is trying to run away from performing those rituals. But then, whether you run away or you do not run away, once the covenant has to do with the spirit, and then the spirit is aware because what was used to seal the covenant was blood. And so they trace you by the blood. So if there is something that the family is supposed to do, which they are not doing for the spirit they had a covenant with, the spirit will eventually also do something to make sure that these members of the family will come back to them, will come back to that spirit. You will come. And God will, but God can, I know, don't forget, God is a respecter of covenant and not a breaker of one. God does not violate covenant. So that one, I will not talk about it here. God and covenant and why people are in Christ Jesus and yet these things are so functioning against them. It will function against, I will come and explain that. But today, that's not what I'm talking about. So, when you do not perform your side of the covenant, the spirit will rise up against you, and that can result in what is happening in this lady's family. It could also be that the father, in his early days, made a promise to a young lady that I'll do this for you, I'll marry you. And then the young lady also gave everything she had to the father. But then the father, along the way, disappointed her and, out of pain, casted a spell. Out of pain, cursed the father. And so it could be that this curse has been there for long, but it is the father who is not even aware. So in recent times, a young man came to church, and the prophet that was ministering called the man and like, you should be richer than you are now. But I see that God is giving you different currencies. Then, after a prayer has been said for the man, while the man was going back to sit down, the prophet called back and said, no, I see that this thing which I spoke about, it should have happened long ago, but there is this woman who is speaking against you, who is manipulating things. And from what I see from the side of the woman is speaking out of pain. And the words of the woman indicate that you broke her heart. It was true. This thing I'm talking about is in just recent time. And so the woman has cast a spell against you. So tell me, what kind of relationship have you had with that? Before the man opened up to tell the prophet that, look, I have a child. I had a child before going to getting into marriage with my current wife. But the woman that I had a child with, I did not marry her. And it resulted in chaos. I said, yes, that is the woman that I'm talking about. The prophet said, that is the woman I'm talking about. And that something will have to be done. The matter will have to be settled before all this good thing that I'm talking about will come to pass, will manifest. Else, it won't manifest because the woman is still speaking with bitterness, with sorrowful hearts. So let's do something about it. So what I'm saying that it could be that the father also had similar case where he did something against someone and then the person out of pain cursed him or spoke certain words against him, cast a spell against him. That's what I'm trying to say. Have you seen it? So all what you are talking about is this. It could be a covenant, it could be a curse or a spell, or it could be the operation of witches or witchcraft, where someone will take your name to a soothsayer or a witch doctor, and then or the camp of witches, and then manipulate things against you. They will manipulate your destiny so much so that nothing good will come out of you. That is another side. So it could be one of these three things that I've mentioned. Either it's a spell, either it's a covenant, either it's the operation of other evil spirits, or it could also be that the whole family is not serious with their lives. And so when things begin to go well with them, they mismanage things themselves. It could be that. But the fourth cause, which I just mentioned, right? I don't really believe that that is the actual cause because if that is the actual cause, for example, if should they give, let's say, should they give to their father, they shouldn't suffer lack. But when they are suffering lack, that means that the fourth cause is not part of it. So we are now going to dissect the issue and then conduct spiritual checkup. Then we will know the cause of the true cause. So what I'm trying to say at the end of this video is that giving to someone who is under a spell, who is having a covenant with a deity or an altar, or giving to someone who is under the manipulations of witchcraft, if you are giving to such people, if the terms or the aim of the operation of the witchcraft is to make the person suffer poverty, or the terms of the covenant state that you cannot have money but you can have something else, or if it happens that there is a spell, let's say that whatever you do will not succeed. You see, in this context, right, the aim is to make the person suffer. So if I decide to give to this person who has been made to suffer, it means that I am alleviating the suffering. I am trying to nullify the curse. I'm trying to make the curse, the terms of the covenant, ineffective. And once I do that, the spirit behind or the spirit responsible for the enforcement of this poverty, this lack and want and suffering for the person, because I am trying to take away the suffering from the person's life, what will happen to me is that they will come and attack me. They will come and attack me. I have, in my previous videos, I stated that I have seen a man who married a woman. Before the marriage, the man was doing well. But right after the marriage, the man came down to nothing. And I've equally seen a woman who was also doing well, got married to a man, and eventually came down to nothing. Now, in some of these cases that I'm talking about, when spiritual checkup was conducted, we found out that there is a spirit that was following the man. There was a spirit that was following the woman. Some people have already been married in the realms of the spirit already. So you getting married to such a woman whom you cannot see a physical ring on the finger is taking away someone's wife. Is that not surprising to you? You are taking away someone's wife. because the person is already married. And if you are taking away someone's wife and the husband happens to be a spiritual body, not a physical body as you and I, whom you can see, confront, and find out so that you can even settle your differences. You and I are not spiritually inclined. We are taking away the wife of someone who is a spiritual body. So what the spirit will do is that no matter what he will have to do to make sure that you will not enjoy that marriage. You will sack the woman. That spirit will do it. Eh, you will suffer lack and poverty to the extent that you open your mouth and tell the woman, ever since I met you, things are not going on well for me. You will say that to the woman. Because this is not something that I'm cooking, I'm fabricating. This is something I am in a prophetic ministry, so we know these are realities. So just as when you give to your father and you are suffering, you begin to suffer lack and that. The same way, the same way that you can get married to a man, a woman that is under a spell, that is in covenant with another body, and all of a sudden, things will not work well for you, for you, for you. Why? Because you are in contact with a person under a spell. You are in contact with a person who has a covenant with an altar, which the covenant states that this person is mine, and therefore nobody can have him or her. And but then Christ came so that all this thing, I'll come to the Christ came matter. You see whether Christ himself even respects that covenant or not. I'll come to that. But what I'm trying to say is that the moment you are in contact with such a person, the curse become transferable. It transfer because when you get, you will be able to deliver the person from that poverty, and so you will not be allowed to get. You see the thing? You won't be allowed to get. So the lady that is giving to the father, and after giving to the father, they begin to suffer lack. It is a sign that the father has been made not to get. And so if you are making your father get what the spirit is asking or demanding that he does not get, you are the one who has, and you are giving to your father, right? Okay, don't worry. This time around, the spirit will come after you. They will make sure that you don't have it at all so that you will not give to your father. That is how it is. So you see how curses are in operation, spells are in operation, covenant, the result. Okay, let me put it. The resultant effect of covenant, the resultant effect of spells and curses, the resultant effect of witchcraft manipulations. These are the. So come into a contract under a curse, and the curse is transferable. I don't want to talk about several examples. I'll make another video. Then we talk about all this. So to my dear lady, please and please again, what you have to do is simple. Go, sit with your father, engage the help of any seer that is from God. Don't go to a seer which is not from God or who is not from God. Else you'll be also entering into a covenant with another spirit. So in your quest to get deliverance from one, you'll be taking a step into another. That is why I am saying this. Don't go to someone who is not from God. Go to someone, a seer who is from God, and then the seer will be able to tell you the mindset of God concerning whatever it is, then the cause of your father's problem, and then begin to provide remedies as and when it is necessary for you to get them. And then by so doing, you'll be able to get the deliverance that you need, and you'll be able to give to your father. But for now, until you are able to come out with such concrete information, what you have to do is that whatever you give to your father, if it is possible, if you have any prophet of God, you have any strong spiritual man, you ask the person to pray over it before you give it to the person. But don't forget that whether the person prays over it or not, the prayer will curb the intensity of their actions against you. So if they are supposed to make sure that you do not get at all, you will get, but it wouldn't be the amount that you expect. So the prayer will curb the intensity of their actions against you. But then your deliverance is when the right directions are followed and performed. I know that you have heard me and you have learned a lot from today. I'll come back to you the next time again. Thank you. Press it.